And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to my Let's Play of Castlevania 1 for the Nintendo Entertainment System, and this will be a walkthrough kind of thing. This game's considered pretty hard by a lot of people. I disagree, but I have a lot of experience with this game, so that might be tilting things in my favor. Anyway, the basics of Castlevania. You have a whip, you whip things with it. You can get two extensions, one to make it do more damage, the second one will increase the length. You also have sub-weapons. Sub-weapons are an alternative means of attack, like the dagger. Unfortunately, the dagger sucks. A lot. Its range really isn't that great, it's not that fast, and the damage is pitiful. So I'd ignore it. Anyway, sub-weapons require hearts, which I'm collecting from candles. They're basically your ammunition. Most sub-weapons take up 1 heart, the only exception is the stopwatch, which takes up 5. Anyway, we got the holy water, which you can lay it down and it creates a fire. Now what's this? I always love doing that. But anyway, the holy water is actually one of the best sub-weapons in the game because it creates a paralysis effect. Enemies basically get stunned, they can't move, and they take a ton of damage in a very short amount of time. And it works well on bosses too. Sorry. Which is why it's one of my favorite sub-weapons. Now we have the stopwatch. At the cost of 5 hearts, you can stop time for 3 seconds. I don't find that very useful outside of very limited situations, but a lot of people like the stopwatch, so hey, knock yourself out. Anyway, I just got some meat. The meat restores, I think, 6 bars of health, maybe 10, I don't quite remember. But, anyway, right here, you can find like secret things like treasures, I guess. They just give you points. They don't really matter much, but I'll try to show off as many as I can. Some can only be found on a second run through the game. Basically, when you beat the game, you can play over from the beginning on a slightly harder difficulty. I'm not going to do that because I just think it's kind of pointless. But there are additional treasures that can only be gotten in it. I've only played through the second quest once. That was just for curiosity's sake. Anyway, we have the axe. The axe is kind of an interesting sub-weapon because it has a very limited use, but when you need it, it's really useful. Like, it hits enemies in an arc, which is really good for flying enemies, like this bat. But anything else, it's kind of meh. I think it sees a lot more use in Castlevania 3 and in Rondo of Blood and Bloodlines than in here. Anyway, that was the first boss. We took him down pretty easily. Also, during this entire Let's Play, I will not be dying, so, you know, you can actually see someone play through this game skillfully. Well, as skillfully as I can. I do get hit a few times, but... So it's not a perfect no-damage run, but hey, you know, no one's perfect. Except Noskar, but, nah. Anyway, we're introduced to new enemies, the Armored Knights. Well, actually, I guess there are Spear Guards? Well, whatever, they only take like 2 hits with the whip to take out. Not too hard. And now we have the cross, or some call it the boomerang. I've always just called it the cross. Basically, it acts exactly like a boomerang does. It bounces from one side of the screen to the other. If you're in front of it when it when it swings around, it'll disappear. We now have a double shot. Basically, what it means is we can have 2 instances of the same sub-weapon on screen at once, which is nice. You can get a triple shot if you can hold on to it, which does the same thing, but you can have 3 instances. So you can have like 3 crosses or 3 holy waters, which can basically destroy bosses very, very fast. The thing about double and triple shots is if you switch your sub-weapon, you lose your double or triple shot, and the same thing happens if you die. You actually lose your sub-weapon if you die too, so you really don't want to do that. So death is kind of a big penalty in this game. Some people don't like that, and I can see where they're coming from, but I don't mind it. Oh, this section. This section trips up a lot of people. Just stop, wait, and whip when the Medusa heads come near. Just watch out for where they're coming from, and you should be fine. Just take it nice, slow, and easy. Castlevania is a very methodical game. It's not like Devil May Cry or God of War, where a lot of action's going on at once. It's more methodical, and I always like that. I'm more of a methodical gamer myself, which I guess is why I like RPGs. But anyway, that's why Castlevania was appealed to me. Like, see, picked up the stopwatch and I lost my triple shot. Now I'll get a triple shot back again. Don't worry about that. Now, a lot of people seem to have trouble with the Medusa heads. I don't, but I have a lot of experience with this game, so that might be why. Anyway, whip here, and you get another meat if you need it. Now, these spike things, you want to watch out for them because they're instant death. Anyway, with this, you get the holy water, and I'm pretty much going to hold on to that holy water for the remainder of the game. Because it's just that awesome. Anyway, we got the bone dragon pillar things. I don't know what they're called. Well, they basically, I find it funny that in different Castlevania games that their pattern is slightly different, because in 3 they shoot 3 fireballs, here they only shoot 2. I forget how many they shoot in 4 for the other games. Oh yeah, this game has knockback, as you see. Knockback, if you're really unlucky, can let you get killed very easily, like over a bottomless pit, so you want to be you always want to be aware of your surroundings. Anyway, as you just saw, I got a triple shot very easily. If you get a certain amount of kills with a sub-weapon, I forget how many, I think it's 10, an enemy will drop a double or triple shot upon death. If you kill them with the sub-weapon, though. Anyway, we're coming on to Medusa. If you got the holy water or cross, just let it rip, and she will not be able to do anything about it. If you don't have the holy water or the cross, you're probably going to be in for a much tougher time. She has little serpents that are pretty fast and hard to dodge. Not impossible to beat with just the whip, but you're certainly making things harder on yourself. Anyway, that's the end of level 2, and oh, I forgot to mention this little map screen. I always like this. Castlevania 3 has a similar thing, and so does 4. I forget if Rondo does. I don't think Rondo has that. Anyway, we're coming on to one of the more annoying enemies in Castlevania, the Flame Men. The only pattern I've noticed with them is they take one big jump and a lot of little jumps, and once it's past that, you're pretty much throwing your arms up in the air, because it gets very unpredictable after that. That's the only kind of pattern I've noticed with them, so try to take advantage of it when they take the big jump. The holy water is really good for that, because, you know, you can just lay it on the ground and they run across it and they die. Anyway, we're coming across the ravens. These guys are because their patterns are extremely erratic. Most enemies in Castlevania have a very fixed pattern, so they're easier to deal with. Not so much with the crows, which is probably why they're one of my least favorite enemies in the game. In that section right there, it's pretty easy to get knocked back if you're not careful, and there's an axe if you need it. Though you wouldn't if you had the holy water or cross, but if you had the dagger, I guess the axe would be an upgrade. Oh, I love this section right here. You know why? Just move forward. Don't do anything, and the Medusa heads will never touch you. This guy right here, usually he jumps over me, but he didn't here. Like, 99% of the time he jumps over me, like, without failure, but he didn't there, so I don't know what's going on. I'm skipping the stopwatch. The stopwatch can work on the first 2 bosses in Castlevania, but every boss past that is immune to it. So that's why I really don't care for it. You want to be careful here, because again, bottomless pits. Very nasty. I love using the holy water on those things, because they have so much health, it makes it much easier to kill them. Apologies. There we go, got more crows. You can jump and whip these pretty easily. This guy's not so hard, because there's no bottomless pits around, so you don't need to worry too much about him. Coming up, no, there's a skeleton coming up past this, but we're not there yet. There we go. I probably shouldn't have jumped over him. I got lucky. Like, I got really lucky I didn't die. Normally I play better than this, but I guess this was just kind of a run for me. Anyway, this part can be pretty tricky. If you got the holy water, just try to let go there, or the cross. If you got anything else, you're just going to have to do it with a good old whip. There's a thing about the whip I haven't... Oh, you want to get rid of that dagger, because that will screw you over. Anyway, activate the boss trigger and get up here, and just let the holy water go. In one of the blocks to the left, there's a piece of meat, but if you get on it, you won't be able to get back on this platform. So so keep that in mind. If you got the holy water, you don't need the meat at all. But there you go, that's level 3 finished. Anyway, one thing I didn't mention is the whip itself has a delay. I don't know exactly how long the delay is, but it is significant, because you can't just spam the whip over and over and over again. You do have to be a bit more careful and methodical in how you use it. Because it's possible to, like, just spam it and then get caught in a corner where you get hit and then knocked back into a pit and die. I do believe that's a deliberate design choice to kind of force the player to think more carefully. Some people don't like that. Anyway, that bat there can be really annoying. I usually try to spawn them up top, which you can do, but I did in that case. You can jump over them if you're like on the very left side of the raft. If that's even a raft. I'm wondering what's powering that thing. Like, what's keeping that? I wonder about that in platformers in general. Like, what's keeping these platforms suspended above, like, huge distances above the ground? Is it magic? Is it an illusion? I'm not sure. Anyway, the next part of this level. Level 4 is generally where the difficulty starts notching up a bit. Anyway, we got a lot of fleemen to deal with. What I like to do is just stop, whip, stop, whip. And these fleemen, I've noticed, have a tendency to drop sub-weapons, which in my case is bad because I don't want to change my sub-weapon. So I usually just wait a second. Sometimes they can drop invincibility potions, but that's kind of rare. The worst thing that could happen here is losing your sub-weapon. Because the next boss coming up, if you don't have the holy water or the crosses, can be pretty nasty. Anyway, we got these white dragons. If you stand right here, he can't touch you. So that's nice. Coming up is one of the most bastard things about this game is its sub-weapon placement. Because I think that is a legitimate problem with Castlevania 1. There's the dagger. We just passed a checkpoint, so if you died, you would lose your sub-weapon, and then the only sub-weapon the game gives you is the dagger, which is kind of useless against this boss, so yeah, I do think that is a problem with Castlevania 1. Castlevania 3, 4, and pretty much all the other ones past that, I think, do a much better job about sub-weapon placement. Like, Castlevania 3, as hard as that game is, it will give you something to work with. It may not be exactly what you want, but it's workable. Like, you may want the holy water, but it'll give you the cross instead, you know. But if you're lucky enough to still have the cross or holy water at this point, just let it rip. Because this boss is quite annoying without it. The flame on the top is basically invincible, and he'll keep moving around shooting fireballs, and it's really hard to dodge. And then you have to focus on actually damaging Frankenstein's monster. It's not Frankenstein, it's Frankenstein's monster. Anyway, that's level 4. And we're on to probably one of the more memorable stages in the game. Level 5. Why is it memorable? That's because it has all the hardest bosses in the game. And they start off with 2 fleemen running right at you. But this level introduces the Axe Knights, which are probably, again, right up there with the Fleemen being one of the most annoying enemies in the game. And the song playing is called, I think it's Heart of Fire. I think, didn't Aria of Sorrow remix this with another theme? I think it was from the arcade Castlevania. That game's not very good. The arcade Castlevania, I mean, Aria of Sorrow is really good. Anyway, move up these stairs. And we got these guys to deal with. The thing with these bones, that they go so far up screen, they'll actually get off screen, so you don't have to worry about all the bones they throw at you. But just keep a good eye out. Just wait for an opening and then hit them and move on. I think that's supposed to be where a double or triple shot is, but I have a triple shot, so it just gives me a heart instead. Oh, by the way, if you were to, like, open up, like, a candle that has a sub-weapon that you already have, it will give you a big heart, which is 5, instead of the sub-weapon itself, because there's no point. Like, if you already have the cross, there's no need to pick up the cross again, which I do like. So, it's not a complete waste. There's a meat. You do need that block to get up on there, but as far as I know, there's just a couple of hearts up there. So nothing to worry about. And now coming up are the dreaded Axe Knights, and we got 2 of them in this room. Well, first I'd recommend worrying about that, Fleaman. Anyway, these guys throw axes at it. You can whip the axe to destroy it, which you should probably do if, because you're really not fast enough to dodge them most of the time. Now, all I like to do here is wait for an opening. I don't like to get on the staircase. What I like to do is jump right near them when I have an opening and just lay the holy water down, which will kill them really fast. If you're just going with the whip alone, it takes 9 hits. 9 hits with the whip to kill these guys. That gets tedious. So I just like to lay holy water on them and just wreck them. Oh yeah, we also have these red skeletons, which make their first appearance here. You can't kill them, they'll keep coming back to life, but it only takes 1 hit to kill them. Well, sort of kill them. You know what I mean. And we come to another axe, armor axe, axe knight, whatever. Just lay the holy water down and boom. Look at him roast. I wonder what like a barbecue would be like with just using holy water to kill them. It seems to have a fire. You know, just lay down the holy water and boom, your barbecue's ready to go. Yeah, just a useless word. I've got 2. I'm not more than enough. I do really like this music though. Heart of Fire. Pretty good. Castlevania. Honestly, I think Castlevania 1 has one of the weaker soundtracks in comparison to other Castlevania games, like 3, 4, Rondo, Bloodline, Symphony. You know, I guess it's not to say Castlevania 3 is bad, it's just weaker in comparison. Oh yeah, one thing you want to watch out for, that's a cross. If you don't want the cross, watch out for that. This is a bit of a banister spot. Sometimes this red skeleton will be up in your face like this. Other times he won't. Sometimes I've seen him stay on the right of the screen and leave me alone. So I don't know what triggers that. But you're just gonna have to wait for an opening, you know, to kill the bone pillar. Ugh. Yeah, I was pretty frustrated when this was happening. It had happened while I was recording too. I ended up having to take a hit, but there's a meat coming up, so I knew I'd have an opportunity to refill my health anyway, so it was like, whatever. So this isn't a perfect no damage run, who cares? Well, I think there was like one dude on the internet that does like perfect no damage runs to the Castlevania games. I consider myself good at Castlevania, but I'm not that good. Anyway, I think this is the hallway that the AVGN was talking about in his review of the game. If you do not have the holy water, the cross isn't as good, but it can still work. But if you're just using the whip, this hallway will be a pain in the dick. Fortunately, I'm not. So I don't have to worry about that. I got hit by the axe. But Medusa heads can really make that a pain, though. I don't think Medusa heads are that bad normally, but combined with the Axe Knights, that is a pain. Anyway, we've got Death. Normally, Death is one of the hardest bosses in the game. Fortunately, we have the Holy Water. I always imagine Simon just yelling, "The power of Christ compels you," over and over again as he murders Death. If you're fighting Death with just the whip, he will wander around the room with a whole bunch of mini skies, and those skies will take out a quarter of your health with each hit. And you've got to hit Death 16 times with your whip without getting, you know, mauled by his mini skies. That's not exactly easy. I've done it, but I don't really want to redo that ever again. And now we're at the last level of the game. Ignore that axe, because it's not really useful. Anyway, we're coming onto a bridge with 6 large bats on it, the same ones from the first level. You can kill them if you hit them enough, but it's really tedious. From what I've noticed, if you attack that first bat a certain way, it seems to affect the rest of these AI. I don't know exactly the details behind that, but that seems to be the case. Because there are times I've like done it certain ways and gotten them almost always to act in a certain way, if that makes sense. Hopefully you don't get mauled too badly trying to do this. And you notice I actually picked up the stopwatch. And I said before I don't really like the stopwatch outside of very specific situations. Coming up is that very specific situation. You'll see what I mean. Also, don't go too far to the left or you'll regret it. A bunch of enemies will start spawning near you. That was fun my first time playing through the game. Anyway, I can think it's the next candle up, but there's a dagger. Yeah, that's it, that dagger right there. Anyway, you got a bunch of enemies coming in. The birds from level 4 are bringing in the fleamen in mass. The most they'll be at once is 3. So keep that in mind. But there's a meat in the vault on the previous room to the very right if you want it, but you'll probably get hit trying to get it. The reason I picked the stopwatch is just so I can get through there without, you know, getting mauled by the birds. Because trust me, it's very easy to die in that room. So my suggestion is just get the stopwatch, make it a lot easier on yourself. Anyways, across, I'm not really going to use it because there's holy water coming up. But if you want to use the cross, you know, there it is. And now we're coming up to the final battle. Dracula himself. He actually has 2 forms. The first form is pretty easy. He'll shoot 3 fireballs at you. They do home in on you, so you want to wait a second before jumping. Because if you jump too early, they will home in on you, and you won't be able to dodge it because you have the stiff jump. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, you have the stiff jump in Castlevania. And how did I not get hit? Like, I swore that actually touched me, but 8-bit hit detection's has never had a reputation for being particularly accurate. Even 16-bit games struggle with that. Anyway, just one thing you need to watch out for is Dracula like telefragging on top of you, which can happen. And getting hit costs 4 bars your health, so that you want to watch out for that. But he's not too hard, just be patient and know when to take your licks. Or take your shots. Let's see, like there, he telefragged on top of me. I've seen some people get like 2 hits on Dracula every round, but I'm not good enough to do that. So I'll just take the safe route. Anyway, you get 1 less shot, you take off his head, and he becomes the blue demon. You want the holy water for this part because the blue demon Dracula form is really hard without it. The thing is, when he's being paralyzed by the holy water, you can move through him without getting hit. That's something I learned very recently, so be sure to take advantage of it. There's a holy water in this room, so there's no reason you shouldn't have one. And just, you know, I think it takes 2 hits to, you can only hit his head. That's the only part that damages him. And I think, like, getting hit right here takes, like, 6 bars of your health. So, you know, that hurts. But if you do what I do, you should have no problem. And that's it. He's dead. The world is saved again until, Castlevania 2. Jesus Christ. And that's all for this Let's Play of Castlevania for the NES. This is my first ever, so, you know, hopefully it's not too bad. Hopefully I didn't bore you to death. Castlevania is one of my favorite gaming franchises. Maybe not my favorite, but it's up there. And I guess I just wanted to do like a walkthrough kind of Let's Play for this game. You know, get my feet wet, because I've always liked Let's Plays. Oh yeah, and all the credits are names of famous actors. I'm not really a movie buff, so I couldn't tell you who's who. I may do another one of a Castlevania game. If I do, it'll be 3, because I don't really like Castlevania 2. Can you blame me? But that's all for this Let's Play of Castlevania for the NES. I'm Hukos, and signing off. Adios, amigos.